Hey everybody, welcome back to the 12 Healthy Days of Christmas and a Happy New Year. This is Coach Noah, your host of the Nutrition with Noah show. And I'm thrilled now that we've talked about these ideas of primary food, of secondary food, of the bio-individuality of choosing dietary theories and putting together eating and nutrition plans that work, how to use crowding out to reduce cravings and to let us focus more on what truly satisfies us in life. The integrative nutrition plate, kind of how to bring all those ideas together, both your primary food and your secondary food. Now we're going into the circle of life over the next few days. The circle of life is a really great coaching tool that you may have seen in other coaching formats. I know that my parents are professional coaches, and when I shared this with them, that I was studying this at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, they said, "Oh, the circle of life. This is a classic tool for thinking about how to bring our whole self to our whole life." That phrase is something that my mother, Miriam Hawley, she's one of the authors and founders of Our Bodies Ourselves, and she's a business executive coach, and she does a lot of public speaking. And she's written a book called You and Your Partner, Inc. Not to go off into too much of a tangent, but she and my dad interviewed 50 couples about how they've had each of these couples has had successful relationship and successful business together for the long term. And what they found in doing this research with other 50 couples is that these couples have found a way to bring their whole self to the whole of their lives. So that yesterday, when we were talking about your primary food and your secondary food and the integrative nutrition food pyramid, this gives us a way to kind of look at our whole life and think about how can we bring our whole self to our whole life. And so in this exercise with the circle of life, we're going to go into even more depth with each of these areas of life that are important to us. So what I'm going to do is start with you by presenting the circle of life and how this tool is used. And then each day for the coming days and episodes of these 12 healthy days of Christmas, we're going to go into more depth in each of these areas. So here is the circle of life. And the circle of life makes me think from my childhood of The Lion King. I can't get that song out of my head. It's the circle of life. And I really wish my boyfriend, who's a professional singer, professional opera singer, could be here to sing this for us. But go Google, if you want a good laugh to remember this by, go Google or YouTube the Circle of Life video. Maybe I'll go ahead and post that for us so you can go back to it and look at it just for fun. But the circle of life, here it is. So there's 12 areas. And as I put down these areas, I want you to know that these are not necessarily the right areas to have paying attention to in your life. There's not some one size fits all like we talked about with bio-individuality. So as I put down the areas that we're going to be exploring, if one of those areas doesn't speak to you, you can pick an area that does work for you. So the specific areas you can define for yourself. But these are 12 example areas that are used in the Circle of Life exercise that's part of the 6-month health coach program that I deliver to you one-on-one or in groups. So, and we can always do a free health consultation to go more in depth with this. So here's I'm going to make my circles. Yep. Here we are, making the circles. Oh. Okay, we're starting over. I'm so glad. I wanted to make some mistakes in doing this because this is not meant to be some sort of professional, polished presentation. My intention in making these videos was to be real with you, to be real together, to be real with each other, so that we can have the experience of being together like we would be together, you know, in a conversation where you say some things that maybe are embarrassing or foolish. And so let's do this circle of life thing again. Okay, so here's the circle of life. And we got this. So I'm going to do it this way. There we go. Next time we make this video, I'll practice. But for right now, here's our 12 areas. Okay, and we have, use a little bit of red and green. So we have the spirituality. And as I go through these areas, what we're going to be doing is rating where we would rate, and this is subjective, so it's really up to you to say, but where we would be rating each of these areas in our lives based on where we are with our growth and development in that area. You might say in the area of spirituality, I'm a 5 because I have a practice, but maybe I'm not fully satisfied with that practice. We'll go more into depth with that. So this next line is creativity. The next line after that is finances. Next line after that is career. So you can see this is like an expansion of what we were talking about with primary foods. Then we got education. And then we have your health. We have physical activity. We have, let's see here, we got home cooking. This is something my grandmother Helene was amazing at. She instilled in my mother, who then instilled in me, the value of home cooking. And one of the things we talk about in the health consultations is what percentage of your meals are home cooked. Home cooking can be a great way to improve your health in 2014. So we'll talk more about that in a little bit. And then the next thing is your home environment, right? And then the next area is relationships. Again, we're expanding on primary food. And then we got your social life. And then we have joy, my favorite. So these are the 12 areas. And the idea with these areas, oh, it's getting warm. I'm going to take off this shirt. So the idea with these areas is that you can kind of rate these areas. So let's say in the area of creativity, you give yourself a 6. In the area of spirituality, you give yourself a 5. In the area of joy, you say 7. Social life, you could say 9. Relationships, we'd say 8. Home environment, say 6. Home cooking, you could say it's on a scale of, maybe if you're doing no home cooking, a 2. Or you're just doing a little bit of home cooking. Physical activity, maybe you have a workout but you're not fully satisfied, you give it a 5. Overall health, you know, your tests are good. Whatever you use to measure your health. Again, this is, in some ways, it's subjective. So let's say we give that a 7. Education, say you're really well educated, give that a 10 and you're satisfied with that. Career might be going well, but you're not in touch with your passion, so we'll give that a 5. Finances could be completely in order and you just want to make a little progress, give that a 9. And so you see between a 6 and a 5 and an 8 and a 9 and an 8 and a 6 and a 2 and a 5 and a 7 and a 10 and a 5 and a 9 and a 6. You can see this is what your circle of life looks like. And you can see the gap between it being a 10. You can see all this wonderful room for growth and development in these areas. Are we still filming? The screen went away. Let me see if I still have you here. Yep, okay, so we're still filming. So these areas, right, this is kind of what the integrity of our lives looks like it's a bicycle wheel, you know? And I invite you to look at this concept with no judgment, even though that won't come up because we have human minds. But so then you take your spirituality, it's a 5. Well, then what can you do to take it to a 6 this year? If you want to make a little progress, or if you want to make a lot of progress, what would it take to take your area of spirituality or joy or social life all the way to a 10? And then what we can do this together in health consultations, which I've been offering throughout this video series. I'm also going to give you a tool in the next episode to actually start to address where you want to grow in these areas. Where do you want to develop in 2014 in a way that you can do from your own journal, from your own sacred space at home, or wherever you are watching these videos. So we'll jump into how to use the circle of life in the next series of episodes. Thank you so much for watching the Nutrition with Noah show and these 12 healthy days of Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Look forward to talking to you again real soon tomorrow.